I'm John Grafft, and I love Chicago real estate. Between showings, I stop in my favorite places, talk with local business owners, and bring their story to you. This is my Chicago.
So you're live now on the other one, right? On the one you did for John?
Yes.
So has he noticed have there been hits on it or what?
I talked to Sarah, the listing agent, and no.
No hits?
No. Yeah, no movement on it.
Mm-hmm. What are they gonna do? You know, I told him to take that fucking offer. I kid you not. You know, I was like, John, they were only like not even 100,000 apart. A $3 million buyer doesn't come along that often.
Yes, and
so you want to work
for $100,000, that's not a lot.
In the whole grand scheme of things?
Well, and for a difference. If I'm making an offer on your property and we're only $100,000 apart, that means you want it, we can make a deal happen.
Yep.
There has to be compromise on both sides.
Absolutely right.
But we're gonna get there.
Correct.
Right?
And you know, he was stubborn. He wouldn't counter. He felt insulted.
Oh, that's the worst.
And I told him, I said, why are you so emotional about real estate? It's brick and mortar.
Yeah.
I said, and you as an investor, you know, I said, you should know the difference. I said, and if you're only losing, what, $50,000 or $100,000 on a $3 million house, that's nothing. Now it's listed for 2.9.
Well, what's your HOA every month too? You know, like,
over there,
what are your carrying costs?
Like 3,000 or 4,000.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, that apartment, if you look at the value of money and so forth, you're looking about 25,000 a month
yes.
for it. You know. So yeah. But he, you know, and now this 299 thing. Guess what he's going to end up having to take when all is said and done?
Closer
2.6.
Yeah.
I guarantee you.
Yeah.
2.6 is going to be the top.
Well, that market's dead now. It's very tough.
It is the high end, especially in the city.
Yeah.
Also, in the city, 3 of my biggest clients have put their homes on sale.
Really?
One, the Perillos over on Burling, they have 68 million in it. They're it's on the market now for 45 million. The Jordans over at 3 East Burton, they put it on the market for 18.5. The Bessers are for sale for 17.5. Oh, that's right, and the Graffts are up for sale too.
Do you know why all of them are selling?
No, but my gut tells me, like John, like a lot of my other high-end clients, they're escaping from residency in the state of Illinois. Between the taxation, also, you know, we're worried about like the infrastructure here too, and again, taxation, the post-COVID fallout, okay, and you know the lack of tax revenue and so forth. I mean, they raised the entertainment. Did you know what the hotel taxes are now?
No.
28%.
What were they before?
A little bit less, like 22%, but you know.
Still a big jump.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
And then on top of everything, rental cars 27%. Do you know what I pay for marijuana, for the medical marijuana?
No.
44% is the tax. I know.
Yeah.
It's like
You gotta buy it on the street. It's the better way.
I know. You're really better off, you know. But it's really nicely packaged. No, you know. But seriously though, I mean, that's been the fear, you know, with everybody. You know, the taxation. You know, we've got a huge pension fund that keeps coming.
Yes, that's one of the biggest problems the city has.
Yeah, it's like, you know, they don't even like, you know, it's like, why does anybody address this? You know, and then fat ass Pritzker, he's just making his friends rich. You know? I mean, and the sheer fact that he, you know, on the whole, you know, his nickname is Toilets Pritzker. You know why?
No.
You don't know what happened? So if your home doesn't have a working...
Oh, the toilets? I know this. Yeah.
You know, the toilets sticking out
That was hilarious when I saw that.
I mean, to save $275,000, you're a fucking billionaire. Let's review. $275,000 is a tip on dinner.
Yeah.
Okay. So what you know? So I hate people like that. You know. Then I've had other friends say to me, you know, well, you know, Mr. P's got 68 million in that house, isn't he? This I said, again, a billionaire. He makes 18 million a month on his money.
Yeah.
So 3 months? Who cares?
Doesn't
you
care.
know, I mean, it's like, okay. You know?
Just drop it and get rid of it.
Exactly, you know. And the problem with the house is it appraised out, it only appraised out at 18 million. And on top of everything, you know, it backs up to Halsted Street.
Yeah.
If I want to have a $50 million house, I better have a fucking ocean behind me.
Yeah.
You know what
and
I
you
mean?
can.
You can.
You can.
Go to Montecito.
You're spending that much money?
Exactly, exactly. I mean, you get a lot in Montecito. So I don't foresee this house selling right away. The sad part about it is I spent 6 years designing it. And, you know, it's like, it's perfection, you know? And that's what
Because dollar was no element.
Correct.
Right?
Right.
I mean, whatever needs to be done, should be done,
Correct.
happens.
Exactly, and I did it. I mean, I rejected over 300 slabs of marble. Wow. I went to Paris 7 times in 1 year for to check on the progress of all the carving and the laser jet things. I had all the floors.
Tell me more about that.
Pardon?
Tell me more about that.
Well, I had all the floors that cut to fit, so everything was done with water jet, you know, and very intricate patterns and so forth. Then I had everything flat shipped and netted on the back and numbered, like by number. It cost a fortune to do flat shipping, but it made.
What does that mean, flat shipping?
Well, normally it would be like crated, like in stacks and then with protection. No, it's all put together. It's like literally it goes in special 20 foot by 20 foot.
Oh wow! So so if are you in a shipping container?
No.
No.
This is on a barge.
Okay.
It's the same kind of barge you use for like when you're moving
So it's
a boat.
atypical, and therefore it all has to be crafted for just the pieces you
It
have.
was ridiculous. I mean, you don't even want to know. The front doors, I hand drew all the front doors. It took me 3 months to do those. Each door weighs 3,000 pounds. There are 3 front doors. You could take your finger and you can push the door. That's how precise they're installed and so forth. Same thing with the staircase. The staircase is 330 feet. And I designed that. I told you, what did I tell you? I designed that.
You got to get this. We got to add this
Oh my
in.
God.
I'm dead serious. Get
Oh
some
my
of
God.
this.
So we designed the staircase. I did that, and that took 5 months in the drawing process. Plus, we had the entire staircase mocked up in plastic for $60,000. Yeah, in the.
So like someone would
foundry.
do a design for a new development. You did that for the stairs, so we could picture it.
In scale.
In scale?
Oh yeah.
Where do you even go? Like you need a 3D printer the size of the house.
Well, yeah, I mean it's a big foundry. It's one of the last foundries in the United States. Also one of the best in the world, historical arts and castings. And they have, I think they have like a 50-foot ceiling or 60 or something like that. We had it all mocked up, in there. And then we had when we did the carving.
What was the point of that? What was the point of mocking up the plastic first?
I had a neurotic client. Okay, so she had trouble understanding things. She was not a visual thinker. So, and she was also, the kind of person who just micromanages everything, And so she wanted to see how the whole thing was, So yeah, that's
impressive.
It's impressive, but it's such a waste. There was so much waste on this house. I'll give you an example, like the plumbing fixtures. I picked out everything for 15 bathrooms, right? Everything ready to go. She had to see every component. She delayed the project by 3 months at $80,000 a month for the general sites, okay?
Wow.
Just dealing with $300,000 worth of plumbing. To me, that's waste. That's wasting your husband's money. It's wasting time. Everything was a waste of time with her, because she couldn't make up her mind. And we always ended up going with my original choices. Always. And I'm sitting there going.
Well, that's what's always funny about that process is why are you being hired?
Exactly.
For your expertise.
Exactly. And I always say to my clients, if they doubt or question, I go, remember why you hired me. Just like that house I was telling you about, that we just did a cleanup on, right? So I walk into the house and, you're kind of like, you look around and I try to understand where the other designer was coming from, or maybe this was client driven, I don't know. So after a little conversation with the clients, then I get a really good idea, okay, here's what really happened, And in their particular case, they'd never worked with a designer before, and they're also from the other side of the brain, the scientific side of the brain. So they have no idea.
Left side, right?
I don't know, because I don't have that. So whatever that is. So they had the house. I walked in and scale was off. Fabrics were wrong for the room. There was a super expensive buffet when it wasn't really needed. There's a lot of things that just didn't work well. And then on top of everything, the rugs were undersized and so forth. So, I asked them, I said, so what did you love about the experience? What did you hate? They go, well, we kind of hated everything. I said, well, then why did you continue?
Yeah.
And they said, well, we trusted the decorator and so forth. We learned our lesson. I said, okay. I said, let me explain how I do things. I show you the entire plan, entire way it's going to look before you make a commitment like that.
So before they give you any money?
Well, I mean, we get money for the design.
Okay.
Obviously.
So how does that work? Walk me through the process, the steps.
So there's a dog. So Lola's in charge, just so you know. So the client calls us, right? And so I do a little bit of a phone, just kind of get an idea of what they're about. Obviously if somebody says, I've got 10,000 square feet and I want to spend $5,000, I'm like, well, thank you very much.
Yes.
It's been nice, So I want to get an idea of their psychology and also the idea of where they're coming from. So then I'll either not make an appointment or make an appointment, go out to the house. When I go out to the house, I want to see how they're currently living. I want to see what they love and they hate, and also how they feel they want to function. Are they reasonable about their budget, and so forth. We then talk about timelines, we talk about the compensation package, and so forth. Once they decide they like us, we send out an LOA. The LOA asks for a design fee, which is usually a fixed fee. And it's based on the size, scope, and complexity of the project. I.e., obviously, higher fixed fees if there's a lot more millwork details and things like that. I.e., lower fees if it's just space planning and furnishings and so forth. So in their particular case, they need a hybrid. So I went through the whole process, designed all the rooms. I asked them, I said, I'd like to show you a couple things that are going to be budget blasters, but are appropriate for your space. Would that be okay? I always ask permission, to do that. And they're like, sure, of course. I'm like, okay, great. So I showed them, they were like, oh my God, those are great. We'll go with it, So they've been so wonderful, I have to tell you. So, they've been living there during the whole transformation.
Oh, wow. So how many square feet?
It's not huge by any means. It's about, the total amount of square footage that we worked on was around 3,000.
Okay. So are they hiding on a level while another level?
Yeah. No. They were still living there. The house was torn apart for not long, only 2 weeks. And they had to eat out because the kitchen was being, So it wasn't like we replaced cabinets or anything. It was mostly paint and wall covering for the backgrounds. And then new area rugs, the right accessories. So the whole thing is done right. The right lighting. Balanced lighting throughout the whole room. And then I had to bring in some of the color that the last decorator did. Bless you. The last decorator. Sorry, I had to bring in some of the color that the last decorator did because they didn't even bring in the color from like chairs and things like that. So it was so cute because when they had the reveal, because we do a reveal, so the day of installation, and sometimes it takes 2, sometimes I installed 11,000 square feet in 4 days. So I think this was a day and a half installation. And I
imagine you wanted to look perfect for that reveal.
Of course.
Yeah.
Everything.
Cleaned.
You got it.
Yeah.
So I attack all your senses. So when you enter the house, you've got music and scent. You've got a candle scent. It's always appropriate with the design of the home. I put your first night basket for food in the refrigerator. So you've got something that your palate, something that you smell, something you taste, and then the visuals, So they're so cute. They get home, and I never am there for the reveals.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah. I let my attitude is, it's
smart.
now your home. And I want you to do your own exploring,
Yes.
And then I'll usually do it if we have to do a walkthrough with punch lists or things that are not in yet, or problem with something or whatever. We usually do that post-install.
Okay.
So I get this email from the husband. He's like, I used to laugh at all those people on HGTV, when they cry, they work at the house, right? He says, but I did the same thing. He's like, I absolutely love it. I'm like, thank you, And they were like totally blown away. They were worried about, darker colors. I said, don't worry, I know how to balance this. They were worried about some of the lighting. I said, don't worry, I know how to balance that too. And so, it was a complete install. And they were like, what, we finally feel like we have our grown-up house. You know what I mean? So that is a real compliment to me. Also and then I got another email. We just installed wall covering in the powder room, and it's really cool wall covering. It has butterflies, it's kind of fantasy oriented. And he's so funny. He's like, well, I wasn't too sure about it, but my wife loved it. And he says, but when I got home and saw it, he's like, oh my God, that is so cool. I'm like, oh, ye of little faith. What'd you think? I put something ugly in there. So, I love clients like that who they understand the latitude, and I give them the respect of showing them the entire plan before they make a decision. I think that every client should be aware of what the decorator is doing.
So I walked in here assuming that would happen when you're working with a designer. So that's not typical?
Every designer works a little different. My philosophy approach is I'm more client driven. Mm-hmm. So what that means is I like to create unique spaces as unique as the individuals I'm working for. Some designers are more what we call ego-driven. And what that means is they're doing a design that you fit into. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Like their showpiece.
Correct.
Yes,
and they
instead of your showpiece.
Right, they replicate. So it's the same thing over. So clients that go to them are clients that saw something that they did, or friends of theirs that they did, and they want the same thing.
Got it.
Okay. Mine, I either have clients from obviously from construction start, always tons of repeat business. Mm-hmm. I've got one family I did 19 projects for. I have another family, I did the grandparents, I do the parents, I do the kids. Now I'm doing third generation, it's like crazy. And I'm doing a fourth generation nursery for one of my clients. It's like I'm doing a great grandchild's nursery. And I'm like, who would have thunk that? I've been around 38 years and it's crazy.
Do you see these clients usually selling the property, or are they just accumulating more?
Well, you know what? Both. I always encourage my clients to sell their houses furnished. Mm-hmm. Because generally, the furniture that's bought for that house doesn't necessarily work in the next house.
Yeah.
And you're better off letting the whole experience happen. So Chicago is actually the last one on the list that's doing that. You find that more in like LA, Miami, New York, places like that, a little more cosmopolitan.
Take it as is.
Correct. They want everything, that's it. And it's also a different mindset, the client, those type of
Different
homes.
wallet size.
Correct,
Yeah.
correct. People here, the sad part is people are not doing their forever houses like they used to here. We have a negative population growth, as you know.
Yeah.
And a lot
for
of my
10 years.
clients,
But you know what? In LA and New York too.
correct.
Yeah.
Well,
Every major city is experiencing it.
exactly.
For over 10 years.
And that's the thing. We just started getting suburban work. I hate working in the suburbs. Only because you lose a half a day.
Yeah, just the back.
Right, because of the dam.
I don't have a car and I just work in the city, and that's the reason why. I'm like, I can walk to where I'm going, or I can bike there. How great is that?
I hear you. And me, I hate commutes
Yeah.
on any level. My house, literally, when there's no traffic, it takes me 7 minutes to get here.
Where do you live?
I live in the Gold Coast.
Okay.
I'm a high-rise kind of guy,
Yeah.
and I like that. And I've downsized. My last house was a church, and it was really kind of cool. And I thought that was going to be my forever house, right? And I'd gone through 4 years. Yeah, 4 years of modeling and adding, and you know what I mean. And of course, a decorator's house is never done.
And as soon as you finish it, you probably want to
Well,
get out of it.
I never really finished it. It's kind of like one of those things. Swapping stuff out. In the warehouse, I might bring something home. It's crazy. So on that house, I completely restored, the church and everything, and it was a 3-building compound. And what was unique about it was there was no alley, so it was street to street. So I had access from.
Where was this?
In Bucktown.
Bucktown. Okay.
Yeah, fun job. I had fun doing it. So I used to use it for kickoffs, like for charity events and so forth. It was 6,500 square feet on one floor. Plus there were 2 courtyards, and it really lended itself to large-scale entertaining.
Yeah.
So I would, donate my space for like kickoff for charity events, whether it was like the organization of the people who are going to be involved in the volunteer work, or maybe it was a thank you, or maybe it's, just to raise money for a specific cause. So I get this letter in the mail one day. And I thought, from this Atlanta attorney, right? He says, I have clients, blah, blah, blah. They were at your home for a benefit or whatever the hell it was, and they're very interested in purchasing. Well, I go back and I said, well, it's really not for sale. And so they came back with an offer. And me being a smart ass that I can be, I took a big red marker, went through it, and I doubled it, and they bought it. And I'm like, you know what? For that kind of money, I can move. And so I sold that place. And I felt a little bad at first, because it's kind of, shit, And then I was like, all right, we'll start the next chapter, So I bought it in a high-rise downtown, and then 2 years ago I bought another high-rise. So I was very happy though when I drove back there, because the land on the east side of the property got developed. There's an ounce of light coming into it. It's this giant dark tunnel. You know what I mean?
So it's completely changed.
Yeah.
The whole look and feel of the house.
Exactly. It was kind of sad, But on the other hand, I was very happy that it didn't happen to me, because it would make the place worthless. I mean, think about it. If you don't have an ounce of light coming into your home, that's going to be very depressing.
I have a southwest view, and that's the reason. I need light.
Me too.
I like to look out to the horizon. The lake's great, but it's a black hole at night.
Exactly. And you know what? That was the problem with my house before that. I was at 990 Lakeshore Drive, and it had very specific view to the lake. And there was some other, a little bit of other stuff, but for the most part, at night, it'd be a giant black hole.
And when are you there?
Exactly. I'm
Right?
there during the night.
Yeah.
And then, so the place I'm in now, I have sunrise, sunset,
Nice.
and I got north exposure, so it's a lot of nice light. Big, huge windows. My living room is 45 feet. It's really kind of cool, and I love it. I'm very happy there. The building is very well run, and it's very client driven, and it's really nice. I'm very happy there. It's the lower portion, on the street that's getting worse. With the all kinds of shit going on there. So yeah.
I saw a wall back there with a lot of good things.
Which one?
I saw one
in our
from
marketing
91.
From 1991.
And I was born in 87.
Oh God, I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah. You look very good.
Oh no, I don't.
So you've been doing this for a super long time.
I've been doing this. This will be my 38th year in business. I've completed over 1,000 residences in my tenure. I was designer of the year when you saw that. I got, that was a really nice award, because it was my first year doing a what do you call them? We did like the spec houses.
Okay.
You know, it's called cavalcade of homes, where individual builders would do a home, and they would have a decorator and an architect, and the public could go through. So there'd be like one street of all these homes, and they'd be all different types of architecture and decorating and so forth. So
was that a trend of the time?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it was very, you know what? Yeah, they did parade of homes and they did cavalcade of homes. I don't think they're doing it anymore. I'm not sure.
Okay.
So it was our first year in it. And, you know, I worked with a very young company. They were wonderful to deal with, but they were very open to my ideas. So this was a time when, you know, everybody liked that little ditzy country stuff, you know, little tiny little prints and yeah, you know, and I could care less about it. So I decided I was going to go something a little more daring, a little more bold. So I did the home very modern, all in stucco. This was before anybody was doing stucco here.
Okay.
Glass block. I did the kitchen in the oval.
I bet when glass block came out, it was real hot.
Very cool.
Very
exactly.
hot.
And I used it a lot of it in there, you know, like in the bath area and so forth. I did things in that house that even today people are just beginning to do. So I like to do things that are innovative and so forth. I had the fireplace set in glass. You know, I mean, it came out beautiful. Well, I won 19 out of 22 awards for the design of that.
Wow.
You know, fortune favors the bold.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it, you know. And so it kind of went down in history. You know, it really elevated, it catapulted, you know. People are like, oh my God, look what he did, you know. I even had a woman in Barrington who calls me, right?
That's where I'm from. That's where I grew up.
Oh, you're kidding?
Yeah.
Off of Mudhank Road?
Yeah.
Near the barn or whatever it's called?
Yeah, yeah.
So, and they used to live across the street from Mike Singletary.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm talking about in that development? Well, anyways, these particular people, they're I don't know if I should tell you, but what they do for a living, do you know all those stupid little lawn ornaments?
Yeah, like a garden gnome?
Yep, all that. That's how they made their money.
Wow.
Yeah. So she calls me, right? I pull up to the house. It's like the house I designed on steroids, right? And I'm looking at it, I'm going, okay.
Like someone ripped off your design?
She did. She ripped off the whole damn thing. And the audacity
To invite you.
calling me over.
Can you finish this?
Right, exactly. That's exactly what she did. And you know, you sit there going, boy, lady. And I looked at her, I said, you got some balls. I said, you got some real balls here. I said, this is my design. You stole the design, you stole the layout, you stole the finishes, you stole the kitchen, you stole the master bathroom, and now you want me to come in and decorate around everything you stole. Oh, I was like, I am in shock that you would do it. But I said, you know what? All right, I'll do it. And so it's kind of fun, you know. She, of course, drove me crazy because she's a micromanager, you know, so I...
Can you imagine the people that did that work for her?
Oh,
Just looking at your face all day and your designs like this. Okay, you see him? He did this. Do that.
Oh, I know. And I hate duplicating. I never duplicate.
Doesn't that defeat the entire purpose?
Exactly. You know, I mean,
Why would you have a designer if that's what you're going to want to do?
Exactly. In that case, you know, all you need is a shopping.
I feel like that's a
service.
bad start to something.
It is.
If you work with someone, you're saying, okay, just do this.
Right. Well, I always ask my clients, you know, what's more important to me is the functionality of space. And I always say to people, you know, one of the things I kind of refer to, and it's a little byline, and it's not, I'm not being too arrogant here, just so you know, but I call myself a space healer, okay? I make space healthy. After, you know, think about it. When you live in a home that's not cohesive, you got crap everywhere, the kids have just taken over the entire house with toys everywhere, you feel overwhelmed.
Your mind's heavy.
Correct. And you're just like, you can't have a complete thought and so forth. When you have a home that is put together well, and I'm not saying it has to be, you know, all expensive or whatever. In fact, I subscribe to a different theory on that. You know what? You find that your life has much more of a nice balance.
Serenity.
The kids keep their rooms neat. They put their toys away when you give them designated areas. So it's things like that, you know, that I think are very important, you know. My approach is functionality. When a client tries to tell me, I want a lamp there, a chair here, a TV there, I look at them and I go, let me worry about that. Here's what you need to tell me. How many people do you want to seat in here? What's your entertaining style? What's your vision? You know, what do you love? What do you hate about the room? You know, so it's, you know, I try to get that point because I'm not going to do a chair there and a lamp there if it doesn't work, if you know what I mean. So that to me,
and you're the expert.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you know, I always tell people, you know, remind yourself of why you hired me. You hired me to take care of the space, to bring in my professionalism, and you know, I'm not designing this space with me in mind. I'm designing it with you in mind. I want it to be an example of you and subscribe to that. The other little trademark that I like to do in homes, I always do family walls because I like to personalize it. So when I usually do those, they're usually in the bedroom areas, in the hallways there. And what it is, it's a nice historical type of installation.
Progress of the family?
Correct. We show the great-grandparents, and you move all the way to, the kids with their kids and what have you.
Gives them some legacy.
Correct. And I do it all in black and white, with photographer frames and so forth.
I'm taking notes. I'm going to do this in my house.
Oh, great. I have to send you an invoice. No. But anyway, so it works out really well. And you know what? They love it because it really is a great personalization of the space, and it really brings them into it, So that, so I ask my clients, give me, 40 or 50 photographs that you want me to have recolorized in black and white and so forth, And so a lot of them, they obsess over, they're like, well, what kind of photos you want? I go, whatever you want to see every day. So it's fine, So yeah, so that's a nice thing that I like to do too. I like the reveals. I like ordering the entire house at once and installing it all at once. So I get to have fun with it, I don't like clients who try to play games with me. I will fire them immediately the minute there's a, question of ethics, And to give you an example on that, when I have somebody who wants to buy behind you or try to, poach your employees into working on the side and so forth. To me that's really,
How often do you have that happen?
It happens. Oh no, you have to understand something. In this industry, there's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And people think, decorating's for girls and it's that. Well, not really.
Well, are there any straight successful designers?
I don't know. That I'm not sure about. If there are, I'd like to know who they are. No, I think there are. But I'm not sure.
I've never met a straight designer. I just haven't.
Jeez.
Yeah.
So this is a stereotypical,
Yes.
Your designer, florist, event planner. What else we got here? The 5 top a waiter, actor, model. There's your top. There's your top. Jobs for gay people, which is fine. I mean, I'm as gay as they come. So it's like, and my dog is gay. I mean, it's perfect. But,
wait, that's a girl.
Yeah.
And she was humping the thing.
Oh, she's an alpha female.
Alpha female.
She's a total alpha female.
There's no betas in this place.
Oh no, I tell you something. Everybody knows her on Michigan Avenue. They all know Lola, right? And they kind of look at me like, oh, you Lola. And you must be her walker. I'm like, so it's kind of funny. I mean, she has quite the reputation up and down the street. Because it's kind of funny, like my doorman, watching him walk her sometimes, my doorman's like 300 pounds, right? And you see her pulling him all over the place. And it's just so funny to watch. Because you're like, there's this little dog, and she's like pulling the guy. And he's this big guy, and you're like, it's like, oh, like that. It's kind of funny, but
She has some energy.
Yeah, she does. She's such a good girl, though. I have to tell you, I couldn't have ordered a better dog. She's been a great companion. She comes to all the installations to make sure that everybody's doing their job. Uh-huh. She's on top of all that. And like I said, she's an alpha female. I also call her a militant lesbian. Because she walks down that street, she looks at the dog, and she keeps going, she keeps going. I mean, it's like
she keeps them in check, but keeps
she
moving.
does exactly. It's like she's doing fleet review, and you're sitting there going, this dog is something else, And then if you tell her like something,
she's been quiet the whole time though. She's not yappy.
She's not a yappy dog. No, I would not tolerate that. She knows. When I first brought her home, I got her as a rescue, and from the Brussels Griffin rescue, which I highly recommend. They were.
What is it?
The Brussels Griffin Rescue.
Okay.
They were phenomenal to work with. They send you pictures of the dogs. You pick out, then you get to meet the dog. You get to keep the dog for a day. Okay. Because they want to make sure you guys bond easily. At the end of the day, you can call them and tell them either you want to keep it overnight or you want to return, whatever. Well, of course, I kept her overnight. And so, so the next day we went to PetSmart. I think I blew $1,000. I don't know. Anything and everything, right? And so, and she had a horrible name. I don't want to say it. So I held her up when we got in the house, and I told her, I said, now look around here, young lady. There's some nice stuff in here. You can have a good life with me, okay? You ruin anything, it's back to the pound, and you'll be eating Elpo. Got it? So she looks at me like, as long as we understand one another, this is good. The other part of the thing that they did too, which was great, I got 1 year of medical. They paid for.
That's nice.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah. I mean, for an adoption thing like that and the Rescue Society, I thought that was I was very pleased with that, And so she goes with me everywhere. She has international microchip, so she's been to Europe a couple times. She travels really well. Although sometimes in the car she drives me nuts.
Does she have a vaccine?
Oh yeah, she's vaccinated. She wears a little mask, like that.
I see you grabbing these chairs. These are really cool.
They are very cool. They're from the 70s. They're Renaissance
Straight from the
style.
70s?
Oh yeah. I bought these at an antique store and down in High Point.
They're solid.
Yeah,
They're very
this
solid.
is the original fabric on them and everything, and they're a Spanish Renaissance style. But the unique thing about these is that so I go into this antique dealer, and they had a set of one chairs that was these really cool, the spider web backing, and then this set of these chairs, and I was like, oh, I don't know, I was trying to decide, and then I kind of passed on the spider chair. I ended up getting these. Then I went back to try and buy the spider chair.
I knew you were going to go there.
Exactly. Yeah. I know. So the salesperson says, Kelly Wursler wants the 2 red chairs. I said, well, what's she willing to give me for those? Because she buys, some nice things like that. And so I was kind of like, I picked out the same chairs. I said, what about the spider chairs? Is it still available? No, Kelly Wursler bought it. I'm like, damn! I said, well, she do a flip flop. So I was just right late. I mean, I should have jumped when I had the chance. So I like to buy things like, things that are unique, unusual. I go to auctions a lot. In fact, a lot of my furnishings, like in my own personal home, I bought at auction. And the thing is, I'm buying 80s furniture up like crazy. It's very well made, still made in the United States. Finishes are great. Scale is great. The stuff that's coming out of China right now, it's pure garbage. It may look good when you install it, but it doesn't last a year.
When you can't move it either.
No, and the cushions are all out of shape. It's horrible. And you try to emphasize to people, sure, you can get a sofa for $1,000. You're going to have it for a year. You could spend a little more, $5,000, maybe $6,000 on a sofa. Super sturdy. You'll have it forever. It'll wear well. Your cushions are done with inner spring down and just done the right way. And sometimes my clients, they've had their sofas for 20 years.
How do you source all this material? I mean, there's so many things that go into a home. Every element from paint colors to fabrics to flooring.
I know.
Tile.
It's crazy.
You must have millions of resources for these things. How do you know where to go for each client?
Well, again, 30-something years in the industry, I think I've pretty got it down by now. And if I don't, I better get out of it. So no,
but how do you know? Like, do you have a mental catalog of where to go for this client?
Yeah, I do. The minute I meet a client and I see the space, and after talking to them, I start to get ideas, and I start to throw around some different ideas and so forth. I have a client who we just finished installing at 159 Walton. That's the Palmolive building, and it's a second or third home for them and so forth. It's in town, and they live in Florida. And never met them. They hired me during COVID. Never met them, only did Zoom meetings, holding up fabrics, holding up designs.
So you're just sending a lot of things like
FedEx?
FedEx?
Exactly. It was just, well, actually not a lot, but I mean, they got one FedEx package for everything, and we did that. They had an unreasonably low budget, but they ended up upping it considerably in order to achieve my look. So what was unique about it was I've never worked for a client I've not met.
Okay, never?
Never. No, I didn't meet her. I didn't meet her at all. They didn't see the house, the apartment, until the reveal. So I was a little worried because I'm like,
It backfire.
Exactly. It's kind of like, oh my God. And they wrote an amazing review for me. They were amazing to work with, and they were just so, I love happy clients.
Yeah.
I love clients who appreciate what you do. I love clients who understand what it takes to get to that point. Then sometimes you have neurotic clients, and the thing that I find is the richer they are, the more issues they have. And I don't know why.
In my industry, when I'm selling homes, I think the lower the price point, the more problems we have.
Oh, yeah.
As the budget goes up, less problems.
Right.
Because they're used to this type of transaction. They're used to the process. This isn't life or death situation. This isn't their first home. It's one of many or one of few, whatever it is. It's not the first one, right?
Exactly.
But on the design, I can see
very
exactly
personal.
that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what happens is, real estate is a fixed asset, and it's, you got modern, contemporary, transitional, traditional, boom. There's all types of labels you can put on that. Interiors, though, are very personal. You're getting involved with the client's likes, dislikes, their underwear drawer. I mean, everything. So there's more thought for them putting in it. But you also have people that have more issues with it. One of the big buzz things today is all green, for example. And that costs more money.
Why?
That. Well, because you're looking at natural fibers all around. And there's specialty people who make that, what have you. Whereas, the synthetics are very easily made. They stand the test of time.
Why would the color matter? on the whether it's synthetic or natural?
Well, because dyes and so forth.
Why would the dye matter? I don't know anything about this. Talk to me like I'm 5.
No, a lot of dyes are chemicals.
Okay.
So with the green, okay, it would be natural dyes made out of like things from plants or from animal or from flowers, things like that, like ancient stuff, you know. And
as opposed to a darker, I imagine something's darker, it doesn't have to be natural.
Well,
what's the natural thing it's coming
as
from?
opposed to unnatural. Like for example, all right, so this is wool, right? But it's dyed red. So the wool on this, in more of the lead green, would be more of a natural wool look.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay, so they're not dyeing it.
Correct. And if they are dyeing it, they're using vegetable dyes, okay, or plant dyes. So it's made with, you know, those.
Are those the same things?
No. You got vegetables and fruits, right?
Okay.
You got tomatoes. They're a fruit, and I don't know. I never understand all that.
If there's seeds, there's a fruit sort of
there
kind
you go.
of, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I guess a cucumber. I don't know. But yeah, so that along with like air quality, along with purification systems, security is a huge thing, you know. And some of the people are like, I mean, the security is ridiculous.
Oh, interesting. So when you're doing this, are they coming to you for a security side of it too, or is that outside firm?
No, we consult on every aspect of the project.
Okay.
For example, the house I was telling you about that I just installed, 11,000 square feet, we were the design lead on the project. So what that means is we take the initiative as it relates to all the design components as far as like presenting them to the architect and to the homeowner. Then our designs get interpreted that way. So then we have staged meetings, like a millwork meeting for everything in the house. We'll have done our millwork details. We have things mocked up and so forth. We'll have a plumbing meeting. We'll have an exterior meeting, you know, so we're involved with like the landscape architecture and so forth. I like to have my hands in every part of the project. Like for example, like I was saying security, for example, you know, I like to have the cameras hidden in a certain way. We have ground plugs that we use as well. You know, there's different types of security systems.
Tell me more about the security. Yeah, how do you do that?
Well, because you know what, I mean, I want things concealed. You know, some people, their school of thought is...
Are people putting cameras like
everywhere
in their house?
Mm-hmm. Everywhere, inside, outside.
So no matter where you are, you can see it, except minus bathrooms probably.
Yeah, there's...
Some people do that
bathrooms.
too?
No, not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
But I like them concealed, you know, in different ways. You know, and the newer stuff is it becomes so small, and
you can't find it at all.
Exactly.
How do you? So give me some examples. How would you conceal that into a home?
What do you mean? Oh, into like say plaster details or into the millwork detail. For example, there's new lighting out right now, and it's absolutely stunning. You know, you've heard, you know, recessed lights, right? Okay. So recessed lights, yes. Okay. So recessed lights have come a long way. If you look at what the original ones were like in the late 70s, right?
They're enormous. Now they're just wafer lights.
Well, no, wait, it gets better. So they used to be 8-inch. Then it was reduced to 4 inches. Then in the last couple of years, it's gone down to 3. You know what it's down to now?
Inch and a half.
Quarter size. No, and even smaller. With the same throw of light that you would get from the 8-inch cylinder. Mm-hmm.
So you don't need a whole line of them.
No.
You don't need a cluster
They're expensive.
of them.
They're expensive because these little ones like this, they're $1,000 a piece.
And getting the same.
You get the same display of light. I know it's amazing.
So what do you call that? A throw of light?
Yeah, the throw is
So that's
like
how much is illuminated.
Right, how much it's going to,
Throw?
you know, how much surface it's going to, you know, to take up, and it's amazing. So I've been doing a lot of those type of lights, hidden in millwork details, hidden in moldings, hidden in.
Oh, that's really cool. So you almost don't even know where the light's coming from.
Correct. You have no idea where the light source is, and that's
You're just walking through. You see the illumination, and you're one.
Right. The one house I was talking about, I did the ceiling and the round, and we had it slightly curved so that when the light comes here, it really lights it very gently. There are 6, 8, 10 lights that I kid you not are about this big. They're like maybe
it's like a
quarter. Yeah, it's ridiculous. And you see them, you know, but they're just little dots, you know, and the whole room is lit up. It's like, okay, this is weird, you know. So we've got things like that, smart houses, you know, they've come a long way. You know, now, you know, you've got things being controlled through your phone and so forth, you know, monitor your security, monitor your temperature, monitor your lighting.
I feel like the smart home stuff it didn't blow up the way you thought it would. And there isn't a lot of changes. The stuff I saw 5 years ago is still there.
Well, the one thing that's changed is, you know, one of the things about smart houses, with me, it's always been with my clients, it's been overkill. And I'll sit there, you know, I like things that are more binary systems, you know, because that tends to work better. Because I look at it like how I would use it, you know. If the technology is too complex, you won't use it.
Well, I remember you used to walk into someone's house, they'd be like, here's the control for the house.
Right.
It'd be
it's not like that anymore.
This ridiculous panel. You're like,
I know. And then they have these giant panels, you know, and fan.
No one knows how to use it. You got to call someone for everything. It's just a pain.
It used to be you would have an electrician, You'd have to have there were 3 people. You had the contractor and somebody else, to install, the
Just
lighting.
turn on the TV.
Exactly, it's crazy. So what I like now is, it's much more user friendly, and I like to use technology in the sense of, for comfort and for, ease of operations.
Yeah.
Some people get very carried away with, every little thing, on, sensors, whatever, and it just becomes overkill. And the husband is generally the only one who knows how to work it. It's so funny because the wife will say, I don't know how to turn the lights on in the room. I'm like, Neither do I.
Alexa, lights off.
Yeah, right, exactly. So, and that's the other thing, we're going to voice control, obviously with Siri and stuff like that. So that's, more, evolving. The construction techniques have really evolved nicely. Homes today are becoming, what I see a trend with is smaller homes, but done better. We went through that whole phase of the big houses, like you mentioned.
That's
Barrington.
over. Yeah.
I call them the Barns of Barrington, okay? Because they'd be these giant homes with no character, white drywall everywhere, and then they wonder why it costs hundreds of thousands of dollars to furnish it, because it's a black hole. It's
Well,
like
they're
a
usually
succubus.
not decorated. Like you go in, this person never brought the home to the potential it should have been at.
Correct.
They just did it.
Right.
And I feel like the goal was the home, but they didn't think far enough ahead.
No.
Now we have to do something with the home.
Right, and a lot of times too, they get wrapped up by, like the trades, for example. Obviously, the millwork guy, he's going to want to fill the house with millwork, okay? But then there's no money left for decorating.
Crown everywhere.
Yeah, right, exactly. And
Triple layers, dripping down.
Yeah, I know. Some people just get carried away with millwork.
Coffered everywhere.
I had this one place, a client I went to interview. I didn't take the project. I walked in. She had the double Kardashian, the staircase.
The bridal staircase.
Right,
Yeah.
and so I'm like, this is horrible. I said, why did you use oak spindles? It's too steep. I said, you would have been better off one staircase with a beautiful sweep instead of doing 2 with a marginal sweep, right? And they're like, oh, well, we want to do it, blah, 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 and we love your ideas, this, that. I said, well, what's your budget for this? I laughed at them. They said, well, we want to spend about $30,000. I said, $30,000? I said, do you realize what
To do the project, right?
Yeah, right.
So
And
where's you in that?
Well, no, exactly. I'm like, even my fees are going to be higher than that.
Yeah.
I mean, but the home was just, it didn't lend itself to that. And then on top of everything, they had very large expectations, and I try to manage their expectations with what things should cost. And I told them, I said, you're way off. I said, this is in excess of $100,000. I said, there's no way. Oh, we don't want to spend. I said, well, then I'm not your guy.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to do it the right way, we do it my way. If you want to do it a different way that is more budget conscious, that is not cohesive to the rest of the home, be my guest.
How do most of your clients find you?
Referrals, online. House is a great source for us. We are one of the most looked at websites on House out of anybody. In fact, so good that they even sent out a camera crew. They did, if you look on the site over there, they did a interview with 2 of my clients and then me.
How
and
cool.
basically, pardon?
How cool.
It was, and what was really cool about it was there were 2 males. One was gay and and living in this apartment. The other one was straight. He was the marketing director for Facebook, West Point grad, really nice guy. And the other one, a prominent attorney and so forth in the city. 2 different complete looks. And the whole premise of the interview was 2 different looks, 1 designer. So showing my adaptability, my malleability, and so forth. And they're 2 different looks. And to listen to the 2 clients, you hear it in their voice how much they relied, how much they let me do, and even there were things they didn't even think about doing. In one house, I had bought the first purchase I made. I happened to be on a buying trip, and I found these antique circus posters of 2 boxers. And they're on, on the and they're big and so forth. So I call the client. I go, oh, I want to do these in the living room. It's like, are you sure? I'm like, trust me, I got this. That is the #1 backdrop when they have parties. For photographs. It's their Christmas card backdrop. It's every backdrop.
It sounds very Instagrammable.
Oh yeah, exactly. It is, and it's very cool.
Yeah.
And they would have never done that. His mandate to me was Chicago Athletic Association. He loved that look, which is kind of a boho chic look. And
What would you call that?
Boho chic.
Boho chic?
Yeah, bohemian chic.
I like bohemian stuff.
You
I
like
like,
bohemian
I like
stuff?
that feel.
I like things that look evolved, and I like things that have a little bit of a story or Provence.
I like something that looks old. but tons of character.
Right, but I don't want it to be old.
Yes,
you know
not old. Old's the wrong word, but like it has life, like it has a story.
Exactly.
Right?
You know, well, the Chinese say that if a piece is not chipped, broken, it doesn't have a life. So when it has, you know, when it's broken and chipped, you know, there's.
It's more like people.
Correct. God knows how broken I am. No, but you know, broke. Wait, I'm broke. There we go. Not broken. But yeah, so you know, it's fun. Like in the other bachelor's apartment, he had not even thought about doing anything with the foyer. And I said, oh no. I said, we got to start this with a nice entrance. I said, I got some cool ideas here. So he said, well, whatever you think. Well, with a little paint and ingenuity, he's got the most stunning foyer, you know, and everybody, every damn gay in the city, okay, including me and everything, they know his foyer. it's like, oh yeah, you did Dustin's out, yeah. And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, yeah, I love that foyer. It's so cool. You know, like, thank you. You know, and it's kind of funny. You know, so everybody knows that house. You know, so I think it's kind of cute. I also did a family wall for him, and where we installed it was on the bifold doors of the closet, so that, you know, in his dressing room.
He can see it when he wants. No one has to see it, but he can see it.
Correct. So he can be very personal about it too, you know. Wonderful client to work with. Referred me 3 projects. Nice. Wonderful people to work with. You know, again, you know, when you have good clients who refer you, the best thing they can do is just share their experience. And that's what I tell every one of my clients. I never say, what do you want me to say? I go, just share your experience. Was it good, bad, indifferent? How we handled problems? Things like that. And what you felt about the whole process. I don't want to feed them, you know, words or anything.
Snippets.
Like that. Exactly.
Yeah.
I want them
Sound
to really,
bites.
right. I want them to really, you know, and they keep coming back. Like, you know, again, now I've got one of those clients getting married. They want to do the house. Got another one, you know, getting a boyfriend now. They want to do the house. You know, and so it works out really nice. It does.
How do you duplicate yourself? Because you have tons of energy, tons of character, only so many clients, and only so many things you can commit yourself to. How do you stretch?
Well, you know, first of all, you know, I used to try and be everything that you could be. Well, then things didn't really, you know, there would be an imbalance. So now, I mean, not now, but I mean the last, God knows how many years, you know, my approach is a little more different. I delegate nicely. And I also, I make sure I surround myself with people who are everything I'm not. So my bookkeeper, for example, I mean, he keeps the book straight. I'm one of those people, what do you mean I'm out of money? I still have checks. You know, it's like, you know, so, yeah, I'm not really good with that. Follow-up work with like details and punch lists and things like that. I'm not really good at that either, but I'm good at delegating that.
So how many people are on your team?
You know what, at any given time, we're a little low right now. Mm-hmm. We're post-COVID, so we're like, what, 7, 8.
Okay.
But normally up to 22, you know, depending on how many projects. Plus we work nationally too. So I have a satellite office in South Florida and in Palm Beach. And yeah, so, you know.
I saw Arizona, Florida, where else?
Arizona, Florida, San Francisco.
San Francisco.
Where else? I'm doing a project in Alabama right now.
Alabama,
I know.
I bet that's a cool project.
Actually, it's a childhood friend.
Okay.
Here's my uniqueness factor. Almost my entire group of friends are from 2nd grade.
Okay.
So we're still all friends for over 45 years.
It's unbelievable.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
You know, and the unique thing about it is that you know, we all get along so well. We all come from different socioeconomic backgrounds. We all are in different worlds, you know what I'm saying? You know, for example, some of my classmates, they never really moved out of, you know, the suburb. They're still there, maybe even living in their childhood home.
Little Arrested Development.
Exactly. And then you've got people like me, you know, I mean, I lived in Paris for 2 years. I've been all over the world. You know, I do crazy shit, you know, I jump out of planes. I like to race cars, things like that, you know. Some of these people never got beyond anything. One of the girls in the group, she's like, oh, I'm so excited, I'm gonna be retiring this night. I go, so what's your retirement plan? She goes, well, I don't know yet. I'm like, you're so excited you're retiring. It's like, but don't you have a plan? What are you doing? You know, like, what's the next chapter, you know? So they're
She probably needs a new book.
But she does. So this friend in particular, we're both the ones that are like the crazy ones, you know, in the whole group. And so she'd moved down to Alabama, and she'd gotten recently married, and they paid for the relocation. So all the furniture that was in the house was not from her; it was from the previous wife.
Okay.
It was the worst furniture in the world, awful. But they moved it down.
It was Alabama.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. Well, they moved it down there, and so she calls and she goes, "What can we do at this place?" I said, "Trash it." She goes, "No." I go, "I am not working with the dead woman's furniture in your house." End of story. When you're ready to do the right house, when we can get rid of all this furniture, I'll be there. She called me up about 4 months ago. She's like, I'm ready. I'm like, okay, now you know what this means. Everything goes, okay? We're gonna start over. I'm going very light, very ethereal. It's gonna be more of a, a testament to who you are, And she knows I'll do a good job. My presentation was all like 3 minutes. Showing her pieces. She's like, oh, great, let's do it, So, I'm very fortunate with that.
Describe ethereal.
Ethereal, heaven-like. Soft, with, soft tones of creams and ivories, nothing that's really jarring. No high contrast like black and white, more like shades, and then bringing in like a soft blue.
So not even warm, inviting?
It's warm and inviting. Well, it is warm and inviting, but it's also very soft and very pale, the imagery there is going to, like, for example, the artwork would be something more of like charcoals and drawings, Again, a more genteel type
It's
of
great hearing you describe this, because as I'm looking right at you, you're here.
Right.
And you're there. You see it. I can see through your eyes, and I can see through your brain, and it's like you have the image in your head. You're totally talking about it as you see it.
Exactly. And I'm a font of information. It's ridiculous. I can tell you things that I did 10 years ago in a client's home, or whatever. I can walk into a client's house that I did 10 or 15 years ago and notice if accessories are out of place. And I'll yell at them. So I had one client, she called me not too long ago. It was 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, is everything okay? And she goes, yeah. She goes, I just wanted you to know. She goes, I love my home. I'm like, well, thank you. She goes, she's like, you really did a fantastic job. And for that family, I've done 6 projects.
How do you keep a timeless attribute to the home?
Classic proportions, trend in very small doses. Maybe it's in color, maybe it's in wall covering, things like that. But I like to buy things that are classic, unique, and that really are, just not stuff you see everywhere, So classic proportions to things, my seating.
What does that mean? What does classic proportions mean?
Well, wait, that's a good question, because I don't even know. Basically, like classic proportions, things that are period, things that we would have found, like, for example, that Chinese altar table. That's a 16th century Chinese altar table.
Really?
Yeah, pardon?
What's that worth?
Oh, I don't think it's worth that much. I mean, maybe 500,000. No, I'm kidding. I don't even know what it's worth. I really don't. But what's unique about it, it's
How'd you
carved.
find it?
I bought this at an antique dealer.
Okay.
And what I love about it, you look at the patina of it, it's got the years of wear. There's scratches. There's all kind of things like that. But yet the altar table itself is a very classic Chinese piece. So that works well, like, back of sofas, on an entry wall, things like that. When I say classic, things that refer back to history, as opposed to some of the modern things today are very trendy and, very cold, A lot of the modern today, I think, is very cold, like minimalist style. I'm really over minimalism. And in fact, the house I was telling you about that we just installed, we worked with a very high-end minimalist architect. The client also brought me in because they like how I warm up, contemporary house. So when the client decided to do this project, he hosted a small dinner party with all the landscape architect, the builder, the decorator, the architect, and so on, just to see how
it sounds great or terrible.
Pardon?
It sounds great or terrible.
You know what? He's a brilliant man, and you know what? I mean, you couldn't ask for a better client. I do have to tell you, I'm very blessed. I have great clients who respect and treat you well and include you in their lives. So he had this little dinner party, and and we all got along really well, super well. And he said, do you know why I had, later on, he said, do you know why I had that? I said, absolutely. And I said, yeah, you wanted to see how I would interact with Kevin and how, how a minimalist can work with a maximalist, so it really came out gorgeous. And the thing about it is, it's not jarring. It enhances the architecture, but yet it gives it a lot of character. And you can see, like, almost each room, and this is what I love doing, almost each room is a different experience, but yet everything is tied together. And that, my friend, is a very, very difficult thing for the average decorator to do. So there's nothing average about me. Was that too prideful?
No, that was good. That's our soundbite. That's going to be the commercial right there.
Okay, thanks. I appreciate that. No, but seriously, I mean, I took the modern architecture that we worked together on. I put in beautiful modern details, but yet warmed it up with wall coverings and furnishings that were both traditional and contemporary. the main living room, for example, all done in shades of ivory, and then I high gloss lacquered the ceiling in ivory. So light that comes in there, it bounces off the walls. Directly across from that, split by the foyer, is the library. All very woodsy and so forth, and being very, so warm, inviting, curl up, read a book type of thing. But yet both spaces speak to one another beautifully. So that's an art. A lot of people will do different experiences, but it's jarring. Nothing is tying everything together. And I like to plan on, tying the whole experience together. That's important to me.
You mentioned a buying trip earlier. So
yes.
When you get a new client, after the LOI is done, you're moving forward with the project, do you know where to go for that? Or how do you figure out the buying trip?
Well, first of all, I do 2 big buying trips a year. Obviously, last year with COVID, I did not. And what I buy is I buy inventory for what I call fill-ins. So I'll buy a ton of accessories. I buy artwork. I buy unique pieces, like, for example, like these chairs, things like that.
So these never made it onto a project, I take it?
No, because I like them too much. Things I like, but the funny thing is, if I swap things out constantly, until I get bored.
I bet these have been at your house in more than one chance.
But no, they haven't been at my house.
Never?
No, not my house. No, my home has done very soft ivories. My last house was black and white, and this one is done in soft ivories, golds, and I have antique pieces in there mixed with modern. So it keeps it very interesting. So what was the question again? I'm sorry.
The buying trips. How do you put them together?
So I go on a buying trip. What I do is I usually do like a 3 or 4 day deal, depending with different resources, and I go to importers and what have you. So and I buy a quantity. I'm buying a lot, just so you know. So and I usually can use that up within 120 days, which is really nice. And so these urns that you see behind me, those were purchased at a Balinese warehouse. Okay, the painting above there.
As in, you went to Bali to get those?
Yeah. I do. Like I said, my buying trips sometimes they could be abroad, they could be in the United States and so forth. In that particular trip, I bought a container, and had that shipped back. It only cost $2,000 for the container. Shipping takes 6 weeks, big deal. But what's nice about it is I have unique pieces that are in stock that I can place in people's homes. Because that's what I do during the install. We'll have bought some major accessories, but then there's always fill-in items, And same thing with some of the artwork I'll buy. It's not investment pieces, but it's artwork that is pretty. It works with the space, and I usually put it in secondary areas, not in main focal points, So it kind of fills the space nicely.
Okay.
So that's what I do on my buying trips,
How do you get those here? And then, I know you ship them here, but once you're in Bali, how do you put the shipping together? And then what do you do once it's here, once the container hits the port?
Yeah, it's really easy. Actually, it's very easy. Because, there's a lot of people who buy, like in Bali, people who buy in China, people who buy in Sri Lanka, people who buy in, where else? Some of the other, the Asian, countries over there. So there's there's importers, okay? So you work with somebody who can, you buy the container, you continue to fill it, okay? And then they will arrange for the shipping, so it gets landed. So what that means is once it hits land, it's no longer in their possession. In other words, they no longer have the thing. There are companies here that are receivers. So they handle the customs, the duty, the taxes, things like that. And once that's received in the container and inventory and inspected, then it gets put on a truck. And it gets either to my warehouse here, my inventory room, or it goes to my warehouse up in Waukegan.
Okay.
So, it just depends on, like, obviously the larger pieces are gonna go up north. The other stuff, smaller items, for filling and so forth, they go through, I'm so low on inventory right now, it's ridiculous.
I bet.
Oh my God. I think I have an urn. There may be one urn. I don't know. There's nothing, anything left, So I hope to go on a big buying trip. Maybe this October would be really nice.
So when I see those, I don't think urn. When I think of an urn, I think of some, I think of ashes.
Yeah.
What is an urn in this?
I say urn. It's like just like you said, like just a. They don't have to put ashes.
Just something that looks like that.
Yeah. No, those are palm roots. Those are really cool. Those are really big ones for for what they are. Normally they're about 4 feet, but these came out.
These are cool.
Yeah, they're very cool. And
do these have a place, or this is the place?
What? No, these. What do you mean?
Are they staying here? Or are they
No. This will go in a client's house.
Okay.
Yeah. Everything in here can go to a client's house.
Okay.
And it usually does. Right now, you're seeing the walls without art, which that's all at a client's house right now. You're seeing no furniture in here, all been selected and put in clients' houses. There's no furniture in the other by the kitchen workspace and so forth. There's we're so low on everything, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, through COVID, you probably had everything depleted.
Oh my God, yeah. Now we were one of the few firms I was able to install several projects during COVID. And even if you look at some of the reviews, the clients will even say, as difficult as it was, his team managed to get it done. And that's what I think is important to understand too. We work until it gets done. So when I'm doing an install, I'm there 14 hours, 15 hours, whatever it takes, and I'm running around and, doing whatever it takes. If I have to clean things, I don't care, because, and I expect my staff to do the same thing. And when I have staff members who want to play prima donna, trust me, that's the last time they get to play prima donna,
How do you find your staff?
You know what? We get staff through word of mouth. Sometimes we poach people from other firms. For the most part, though, it's
How do they hit your radar?
I'm sorry?
If you're poaching someone, how do you hear of that talent?
You kind of know. I mean, like, if I go to events and things like that, or, you hear, oh, so-and-so's working there now, or whatever. So it's kind of it's a weird business, but, you can go from Anthony Michael to this one, to this one, to that one, to that one. It's like it's like a rite of passage, in a way.
Without saying any names, how many true competitors do you think you have in Chicago?
Oh, you know what? I think that Chicago is a very good design community. My competition, it's hard to say because the looks are different, I mean, I'd have to say strong competition. I'd probably say there's about maybe 10 firms that are, that I consider strong competition, that have been in business as long as me, that share the same type of philosophies, both in business, ethically, and so forth, consistent in their nature, organized, as a firm, not working out of a basement or somebody's garage or things like that, so that's pretty much, how that happens. Then we add on people, we take away people, so it just depends on the projects and what have you. At height, like I said, when I was working on, the $68 million house, we had 20 people working on that.
Yeah.
I mean, the drawing set was like, you could fill that room with drawings, and mock-ups and everything else.
Well, years and years and years. How does that work for your payments?
Oh, it's horrible. The big jobs can kill you.
Yeah.
And this is why I prefer...
Because your fee isn't changing on the timeline, is that correct?
No, but the fee is based on, in that particular case, was based on fixed fee, and then there was procurement fees and things like that. So it was a staged, type of thing. The problem with these big jobs, they last so long that the profitability becomes thinner and thinner and thinner and thinner.
I mean, with every day.
And you're almost at a point where you actually don't make any money. So I try to shy away from the super big jobs because they are time thieves. You are off the radar for a while because you're doing these big projects.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'd rather do, give me several clients who are, medium sized, that I can get them in, get it done, and that respect what we do and go with the whole program. And you know what? And that really has been a great market for me.
What is the budget for someone like that?
Our budgets start at $150.
Okay.
Yeah. So with an average of, say, I'd have to say an average of 200 to 250,000. Okay. And then and a few jobs, we've had projects that, as much as $2 million as far as their furnishings budget and so forth. It just all depends. It really does.
I feel like that's not really hard to do if you're in a suburban home with 10,000 square feet.
Exactly.
Every bedroom needs to be furnished. Every square
Window
inch of the
treatments
home.
are going to kill you on houses like
just that alone,
light bulbs, you'd be amazed, So I'm not kidding you. I mean, these things sound so small, Area rugs.
How about outside landscaping? Is that anything you touch?
We do everything.
Okay.
I want my hands in everything, on this particular home.
You want to make sure that if you're
consistent.
Yeah, if you're contracted for the project, you can control every part of it, because what if the house is beautiful but the outside looks terrible?
Correct. And I've always make a joke. I go, I'm an anal retentive decorator with a little dog. Does it get much worse than this? And so we get the job done. I really think that's important to know, because there's a lot of other designers, they don't get rehired by the same client. You hear sometimes the awful things that go on with people being cheated, or the designer, took off with their money, things like that. That's happened. I mean, and then, or the cleanup jobs that I have to go in and you're like, wow, so-and-so did this? And then you find out later, it was somebody on their team that did it, and they really didn't know what they were doing, and the owner was too busy doing other things, So, even if we have smaller jobs like that, if they're a referral, I take them on.
Yeah.
Because it works nicely.
That's how you keep things moving.
Exactly. And not only that, I can work in, lower end, medium, and high end. So I've got, pretty good range. I follow the Albert Hadley the famous firm in New York, the Parrish Hadley. I follow his philosophy. Good taste is not measured in dollars. It's measured in the item. So there's nothing wrong with having a room where I have a flea market find next to, a very rare antique, and I mix it all up together, and you don't isolate any one thing. It's a complete look. So it's not uncommon. Sometimes I do things that are very unexpected. An example, we did a client's house where the ceiling was horrible. So in order to make the ceiling kind of cool, we gridded it off, made it into like this really cool grid. And then in each center of the grid, I put light fixtures that were all the same and matching. So I created architectural interest. I put, these lights in, and it was a very economical change that got a lot of bang for the dollar. So things like that, I try to look for as much as possible. Repetitive elements, that goes a long way too. I'm also, when it comes to resources, I am an absolute sourcer. I'm not exactly loved that much at the merchandise mart because I rarely buy out of the mart.
Was the Mart still the Mart?
Yeah, you know what? I gotta tell you, for a city our size, our design community is absolutely horrendous. The resources here are very limited.
Really?
Yeah. The showrooms, you would think you'd have these great showrooms with tons of, furnishings, things like that.
It's hard to find furniture here.
It's very
This is
hard.
not a good city for furniture.
No,
I don't know where is or what to compare it to, but anytime I'm looking for anything, I'm grasping for the right place and I never find it.
Right, you either have Bob's Discount Furniture, and I'm not kidding, he does great business. He's
Yeah?
got 38 locations now in Chicago.
Wow.
Bob does really well. Bob lives in San Diego.
Okay.
What do
I
you
heard
call it?
Bob already had money, and this was like a
that I
side
don't
thing.
know.
Yeah.
That I don't know. He lives in Dana Point.
Okay.
And it's not exactly a cheap neighborhood, So yeah, you got the Bob's discount. Then you have like what I call the high-end Euro crap. Okay.
There's a ton of that here.
Oh my God.
That's most of the furniture. That's the problem.
Without mentioning names, there's certain lines.
Drive down Grand Avenue.
Oh yeah, exactly. Well, their European warehouse is gone.
Yeah, I just saw that. How long has that been out?
They've been out now for about 2 years.
Okay.
And so
Wow, so their sign's still up there? Because that's the place I was thinking of.
Yeah, well, but you know what? They didn't work with anybody. They had all the Eurotrash furniture in there. The problem with a lot of what I call the Eurotrash furniture, nobody backs it up. So something falls apart, something breaks, and you're on your own.
Yeah.
The Chinese pieces are like that too. And again, I'm not being racist. I'm not being prejudiced. I'm really saying the Chinese products, when it comes to the home products and so forth, are marginal at best. The
quality isn't what they're going after. They're going for price point.
Correct. But the worst part of it is nobody stands behind what they're doing. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
There's an expectation, from a consumer that you're going to at least stand behind that we're selling them quality goods and so forth. Then again, some people abuse things. It's like, I don't know how that broke. Well, you pulled it down. It's like, my favorite is like, we didn't touch anything. Oh, really?
Warranties make sense unless you're destroying it.
Correct. Exactly. And they're like, oh, will that chip? Will that do this? Well, if you take a hammer to it, yes, it's going to chip. Okay? Anything malicious is going to chip. So that's the way it goes. I try to get as best quality for the dollar. There are certain things I don't compromise on. Some of the trades that I work with, I insist on them in the homes. And yes, they're a little bit more expensive, but boy, do they do a beautiful job.
I imagine something like millwork.
Yeah, exactly.
I have
an amazing amazing millwork supplier who, sometimes I've strayed. I've used a few other lesser expensive ones, and I've had the devil to pay.
Yeah.
So I always keep going back to the other one. But their cost sometimes is like 4 times what the other cost is. But see, the problem is in this town, you've got all these people thinking they're supposed to get a discount. Everybody wants everything for nothing. They're all entitled and this and that. This is the only town I have that happen. When I work in other locales, people are very understanding. They're respectful of your markups and things like that. Some of the people here, they're just not like that.
A lot of people don't want you to make a living.
Right.
They think things should be cheap.
Right.
And there's this thing in Chicago where when people make money here, they tend to leave.
Yeah. Do you blame them?
They go somewhere else. And when you have people that come here, they're like, Chicago's, it's cute, right?
They're not buying the forever housing.
Yes, and we don't get the respect that we deserve because this is a great city. There's great buildings, great views, great architecture, great everything.
But conversely, we are taxed to death.
Yes.
You don't want to know what my property taxes are. My friend who lives in Alabama, I was telling you about, they have a $500,000 home, which $500,000 down there buys you $2 million. What $2 million would buy up here.
Yeah.
Okay.
She probably pays $4 or $6 grand or something.
For
200? What? How much?
$1,200 a year.
$1,200 bucks.
It's $100 a month. My assessments are more than that per month. You know, so you've got that factor here. The taxation is ridiculous. You've got a state that is so bloated with the pension problems and all that. There's another issue. You also have, I mean, all the separate taxes too. You have the highest sales tax, you have entertainment tax, all these taxes. You know, you just feel like, you know, you're overburdened. And, you know, and nobody wants to attack the core problem, which is the pensions, you know? So I don't know where it's going to go. You know what? And I'm looking at an exit strategy too. I mean, because, you know, the
don't say that. We're going to air this.
Pardon? I'm leaving next week. No, I'm kidding. No, but seriously, you know, I mean, I've been thinking about, you know, how much more I want to stay here. I see the fabric of the city changing. You know, one of the things that bothers me is the architecture. You know, we are a city, the father of the skyscraper, and, you know, we had very diverse and beautiful architecture, and it's becoming more a city of towers of glass. Towers of glass.
Everything looks the same.
Exactly, and it's looking the same. And what it's doing is it's overshadowing all the other more, what we'll say, scaled architecture, you know? So you have these giant, you know, glass towers. So it's turning into more of a manufactured city, you know what I mean? And
do you think that's just here?
Yeah.
Yeah?
New York is not. New York, they do toppers on the buildings and so forth. Their construction techniques for commercial is a lot different than they do for residential.
Well, I think part of the problem here too is that everything that's going up are apartments.
Yeah, I know.
So
rental.
It's just about that. So the building should look good, but to put any architectural detail,
they're
not
only
worth
going to be there
it.
14 months.
Yeah.
If that. And they're moving on to the next thing. And that's why they buy cheap furniture.
Yeah.
Okay? And it's all they want. I mean, we live in a highly disposable society. You know, you're not, you know, the quality is just been surpassed for quantity, as we learned by the Barnes and Barrington and so forth. You know, quantity of space, which nobody ends up using, which they inevitably usually sell those homes within 5 to 7 years.
Everything.
Because all you're doing is you're just taking care of a house.
Yes.
I mean, do you have an idea what the light bulb count has to be in homes?
I have zero interest in any of that. It's funny. I've always wanted to live in a high rise, always lived in a high rise. I don't want to deal with the house. No. I don't want to deal with anything about the property. It's too much. It's daunting.
You know, I mean, when I downsized from more than one house. You know, I'm in right now. I'm probably in 1,400 square feet, and I got to tell you, I love it.
It's great, right?
I love it. It takes 3 minutes to clean. You know, it's great,
and it's easy on your mind.
It is,
and you go into all the spaces.
I use every inch of my space.
You go to someone's house in the suburb, they open a door and there's a creak and there's cobwebs and there's dust everywhere. You're like, okay, I get it. So you don't use this.
They don't use that, exactly.
Yeah, but you heat it. You're not cleaning it, but you should be.
Correct.
And you're paying taxes on it.
Exactly. You know, and they're just these white boxes, you know. My place, you know, I did an extensive millwork package. I did a beautiful kitchen, high-end appliances. All my closets are, you know, outfitted. You know, there's good surfaces everywhere, beautiful floors. You know, I would rather have smaller, but with super, super good quality and tasteful, you know, backgrounds and so forth, you know. Great lighting that I did in there and so forth. You know, and it was a very manageable project. And I said to myself, you know what, this will be the last place I'm buying in Chicago. I can use this as an in-town, okay? And like I said, for my purposes, it really works out great. I have generous room sizes, you know. The building was built in 1985, and it was the trying to get the suburbanites to leave their homes to come here. So they were very smart about room sizes. So you get these very generous rooms that you don't normally see today.
The Gold Coast is great about that. One, best locations, best views, but the floor plan is actually good. Because you're right, everything's turning into a box.
Exactly.
We went from $850 to $650 for a one bedroom, and that's the current state of things.
Right. You know, and I also look for a floor plan that doesn't waste hardly any space to hallways.
Always.
So, you know, the design that I have, you enter the home, you've got hallway that goes this way to the kitchen and this way. Straight ahead is the living room, dining room, and to this way is the master bedroom. And that's it.
Done.
Exactly. So you've got maybe not even 4% of your floor volume is being used for, you know, ingress and egress. So to me, that's, you know, was there other units that were bigger for sale that were about the same money? Yes, but they wasted, you know, space.
A lot of people don't realize that. Like if you look at a standard 25 by 125 lot, there is minimum 200 square foot of hallway just for the bedrooms from the front to back.
Right.
And it's all there. And there's nothing you can really do about that either because they're so linear.
They are. But you know, with those type of things, you know, you break up the first floor basically in half. and you let the butler's pantry and the powder room be your dividing zone. I do all my mechanicals underneath on the stair side. You know what I mean? So that again, we're utilizing.
So you're utilizing that space that's underneath the stairs.
Correct.
That's usually storage.
Exactly. Yeah. You know what I mean? Some people make that a wine cellar. You know, I like to use all that for storage and for the mechanicals.
Makes sense.
So it makes sense. So you can hug everything. You know. So you can maximize that.
How often are you working with an architect and designing someone's home? Do you do that as well?
Well, exactly.
Before it's built?
Yeah. When we started that big project I was telling you about, that was ground up. It was a 3-lot teardown.
Okay.
And we started with the architect. We were the ones who provided the exterior as far as the look. The architects then modify it to suit the lot and so forth. So being the design lead, we're bringing all the inspiration to the table. The architects are interpreting that in what I call a nuts and bolts way, but also, I mean, the detail they brought to the table was amazing as well. So, it was a good collaboration. And in fact, I would do it again.
What was that firm that you worked with?
I can't tell you.
No? Okay.
No, not yet until
until it's done.
Until the project's been photographed and published.
Okay.
Because they're very adamant about things like that. So forgive me. Sorry.
Is that for privacy? What's the reasoning behind that?
No, it has to do. It's more of the marketing aspect because if it's already been on social media and everything, it's old. It's old news.
Wait. Are they selling it?
No. I'm talking about any photography.
Sure,
or any talking about it.
But they're going to live in it.
No, I'm talking about like with the magazines and people, the editorial and so forth. Because everything I do gets photographed and gets published.
Okay.
And that's how we get other projects.
Okay.
That's how I get recognition from my vendors and so forth. Like I get special pricing, obviously for my own home, because it's a showcase.
Yeah.
We got special pricing for in here too, because it's a showcase. You haven't seen the kitchen. The kitchen's really cool. I designed that. So the supplier for the panels, we do a lot of specifications from them. Wolf and Sub-Zero were very generous to me because I specify a lot of those appliances, the higher end appliances. So
are you working with those reps?
Yes.
So you're not going to ABT. You're working directly with.
Well, it's funny because yes, we do go to ABT because, like for example, the rep, she can get you the special pricing, and then it has to be bought through one of the dealers.
Okay.
And so Apt is the dealer, and we also send our clients there. Apt has an amazing
it's a great place to visit.
It is, because you have the interactive displays there and so forth. The other good thing about it is, I love the way they line up their product. I don't know if you've seen how like the refrigerators are lined up.
Absolutely.
It goes from the
showroom is very impressive.
It is. It goes from the cheapest all the way to the most expensive, and you walk it with your person over there, salesperson. They did all the concept kitchens over there, and the big water thing in the center. Home theater. They branched into furnishings, mattresses, things like that. So they're really trying to make themselves a one-stop, a home shop. You've got a company that was built in 1936. It's been family run, and usually by this generation, they
private equity's in and everything's out.
Exactly, but they're still doing well. I think the core family lives in California, if I'm not mistaken. I might be, but they're wonderful to deal with. I've never had any problems. I refer clients constantly. One of the other
process is seamless with Apt.
It is. One other thing that I do with my clients, like if we're doing kitchens, at the Merchandise Mart, Wolf and Sub-Zero, they have an interactive showroom, and twice a month they do they prepare a dinner, and it's usually a 3-part dinner, and it's for 20 people. And it's for 20 people who are contemplating buying appliances from them and so forth. I always send my clients to those, and I usually go with them because it's a nice time, a few drinks,
Fun.
And it is, it's fun. So the chef prepares things, but what they're doing is they're showing you how to utilize each one of the appliances. And a lot of times, like for example, I have one client who, she thought she wanted double ovens and this and that. Well, she ended up walking out of there just getting the single oven, but also buying the steamer because she likes to bake. So that would not have been an option if she didn't see it being worked, in the showroom.
It's like sleeping in a place. You can't do this, but some people, it'd be great if they could sleep in a house and actually see if they'd use it the way they think they would.
Well, actually, Haston's, the luxury high-end mattress company, they do a one-night sleep at the Four Seasons or at the Peninsula. They have a suite there that they use for marketing. Also,
how much do those mattresses cost so they can afford to do that?
Do you really want to know?
I want 15.
Keep going,
20.
my friend. Keep going.
50.
They start about 35. Wow. Up to, ready? 110,000.
For a mattress. Like a king-size mattress.
Well, yeah. I know, but it's all natural materials. They're touted as, the best. In fact, when we were storing them for a client for this project, they all were stored flat.
I wouldn't want to touch one.
No. Have you ever slept on one?
Storing them? No, of course
Oh,
not.
they're amazing, amazing. No, I like, when we can try things out, it's really great. So I usually take them to the Wolf Sub-Zero showroom twice. One in the beginning, so that they have an idea of what's available, what things are now, so they don't feel so intimidated by the whole appliance thing. Because there's a myriad of choices out there.
Well, if you're looking at Sub-Zero and Wolf, you're also looking at Miele. What are some other options?
Miele, Bosch, Cove now.
Bosch really in the same category? I feel like Bosch is down.
No, they're in there.
But I mean, Thermador's in between there, right?
Well, my preference, I love Miele.
Okay.
All my personal dishwashers and everything I spec are Miele. And super silent, I love them. Plus they have a true time crystal cycle. They're adjustable racks, nice flat cutlery thing. And they wash very well.
Yeah.
I've never had any problems with that. The second choice would be Bosch. I'm not a huge Bosch lover. They're a little bit louder than the Miele's, and their interiors are not as flexible as the Miele.
That adjustable rack is so cool.
It's fabulous.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I like that.
What do you think of like Fisher Paykel, like the drawers?
Hate it.
Hate it?
I put Fisher Paykel on my yacht, right? And they're the two drawers and everything. It was just so difficult because you get this remote control to open and close the doors, right? Nothing really worked properly. There would be water that would set, in the bottom one.
The bottom one?
Yeah.
So I have these. I had the same problem. I don't use the remote.
Oh, okay.
The remote's just a pain. So
That's what I mean.
I got rid of the remote and just hit the button and go.
Right.
But I like how it's high and you put going down, like the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, the theory of it is great, but you know what? The interiors of it suck. They're
It's
not
okay.
stainless steel.
It's normal. Yeah.
No,
They're plastic.
They're plastic. And let me tell you something. Stainless steel interiors trump plastic. I shouldn't say trump, right? Okay. No one's gonna watch this now. No, but I have another client who has a Fisher Paykel refrigerator. It's falling apart. She's only had it for 4 years. I have a Sub-Zero glass front one. All stainless
those are the best.
steel. It's amazing.
The glass front is so cool.
I love it. You know what? And people are like, don't you have to keep it? Yes, of course I keep it neat. So funny. My contractor walked in the house. He was looking at my refrigerator. He goes, "Did you ever work in a grocery store?" And I said, he said, "Everything is so faced perfectly." And I go, "Look, I'm an anal retentive decorator with a little dog. Need I go any further, And so I have like all my Pellegrino, and then I have, I love Fresca, so they're my Fresca, everything's organized, right down to the condiments, and all the labels are facing forward. I know.
You don't see Fresca anymore. I like Fresca.
I love Fresca.
Yeah, it's great.
Oh, you're right. There's a shortage of Fresca. So when I do find it, I buy everything they have. So it's so funny. So I come home, the doorman, they'll see like 20 bottles of Fresca. I think, "Oh, you having a party?" No. It's like 20 bottles of Fresca and 1 bottle of vodka. There you go. We're all set, But no, so everything's lined up nicely. All the labels are facing forward, just like my closet. Everything is done by shading of clothes, 2 fingers apart on the hangers. All the hangers have to match. It's crazy.
Are they velvet?
I love it. I can't complain.
Are they velvet?
Pardon? No, I won't do the velvet ones.
No?
No. You know where I get my hangers? Don't laugh. Ikea makes the best wooden hangers at 39 cents each. Kid you not. Isn't that bad? Right?
It's good.
And they're a nice thickness because, I don't like the bigger ones because they're too bulky. They take up too much space. They're the perfect thickness. They're the perfect size. I have never had any problems with them. Plus the top turns, The velvet ones, they break. They break like crazy. They're horrible. So, I stopped doing those. I always, when I do clients' homes, we either go to, there's a hanger place online that is, they have the really deluxe stuff, And I try to go with the narrow stuff. But Ikea is my go-to on hangers. Nothing wrong with that. Ikea, don't underestimate that. I actually bought an area rug for a client. And actually, what I did is I bought 4 area rugs at Ikea and then had them sewn together. And my client was like, "My God, what you do is ingenious." Because the way that these were, it looked like it was supposed to look like a rug was on top of another rug. Okay. So the way I connected everything, it really made this really cool. Yes, right? Exactly. It was really cool because I needed a super large rug for this room, but it was, we were on a budget and so forth. So, I don't discount Ikea. I love going there, occasionally.
It's a fun experience.
It is. The secret with Ikea though is you got to go first thing in the morning, have your Swedish meatballs, go shopping, and get the hell out of there by 10:30.
Yeah.
Okay, that's number 1. Or you go a half hour before the store closes. Mm-hmm. And you can get in there, in and out real fast. Because, you go there during the day, it's crazy. It's absolutely
Well, it's Schaumburg. It's like the middle of suburbia.
Oh, I know.
And every highway connects there. It's bad.
The only big thing with the Ikea with their cabinets, I'd rather pull my eyeballs
Putting
out
them
of my
together?
head. Oh, God. No, ordering the components. Everything is a different item number. So panels, shelves, drawer glides, anything that goes into it is a completely different, part. You have to, put this all together. And then of course, the joke, you got Ikea, it's all just pictures of putting this stuff together. There's no verbiage on it. So you're like sitting there going, and I always joke with my guy who does, he does my Ikea stuff, right? He actually specializes in putting together Ikea stuff. We had to do 25 cabinets.
That's so funny. You have a guy that just does that?
Yeah, that's all I got.
That makes sense.
It makes sense,
because you can use Ikea stuff all over the house.
Well, I'll tell you, the kitchen cabinets, their cabinets are actually great quality. I've used them on more than one occasion in clients' homes, where we have a budget situation where we're not doing.
Well, they're not even necessarily cheap.
No, and they are. They're
But they're not expensive clearly, but they're not cheap cabinets.
I can do an entire 12 by 10 kitchen from Ikea, cost literally just for the millwork in there. I could probably get away with less than $10,000, which is fantastic. So also for second homes, we'll do a lot of that, like in harbor country and so forth. Those kitchens will do those. The good thing is you get a lot of design. You get some really great design out of it, that mimics higher end stuff. It's just a matter of pulling it all together, putting it all together, and everything like that. I don't buy any furniture at Ikea because the scale of it is for tiny, tiny, tiny people.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah. And then I'll buy lighting there because they have great lighting. I don't buy many accessories there. I'll buy potted plants there because they're actually very reasonable for their palms. I know, it's crazy shit, right? What else do we buy there? The rugs, lighting is a good buy there. And that's pretty much where I limit it to. So kitchen cabinets, rugs, that type of thing, Some of the other stuff, I can get, local, which has more, like dishware and stuff like that, So yeah.
So back in the 19th century when you started doing this, what did you start doing?
In 1874, Yes, I've had 17 facelifts since then, and I soak in formaldehyde every night. So anyway, so go on, your question. I'm sorry.
How did you get started in this? What were you doing beforehand?
No, this is all I've ever done.
Forever?
Oh yeah.
That's like me. It's all I've ever done is sold real estate.
There you go, yeah. So I, decorating magazines was my porn growing up, So for me, I used to, I would always envision.
How young were you?
Probably about 6 or 7.
And you were like, I like this.
No, and I was helping my mother. She'd always have something going on around the house. God rest her soul. She'd always have something going on around the house. And so I'd always be peeking at things and playing with stuff. And then I started to have opinions about things. And it all worked out really nice. So, I've always been design oriented. I love design. I love decorating. One of the things I used to look at, like the magazines, and I love the ads. One of the ads I used to love was Broyhill Furniture because they were on The Price is Right. Beautiful Broyhill living room, and let's make a deal. Good. Right, exactly. Let's make a deal. And then they had the Broyhill on Price is Right and on Let's Make a Deal. And one of the things I used to love is, in the ads, you'd see like the kids are playing, the wife is sitting here, the father's with the pipe, there's pictures on the wall, there's beautiful furniture. I was like, why can't we live like this, And so I used to live vicariously through that. I loved all that, So I still have a collection of architectural digests.
I saw that right over there in the corner.
Going back to 1970 something,
Yeah, it was impressive. I didn't realize they were so big always too, right?
Well, yeah, nowadays they're like that, but Architectural Digest. When I went to school, I interned for Angelo D'Anghia, who's deceased now, but he was a pioneer, in the business.
Where'd you go to school? What does the design world look like?
I went to Parsons College in New York.
Okay.
And that's a design school. And then I did 2 years in Paris at the École des Beaux-Arts.
Okay.
For architecture and for design and so forth. So I'm still old school. I sketch, and I hand it off. One of those people. I still draw, because I can't do CAD. I mean, I'm just, it's like I look at a computer and I go, it's like putting gas in my car. I'm like, unless I have that little arrow, that little arrow.
Which way the tank is?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, forget it. I'm standing there like.
Most people don't know what that is, by the way.
You're right. What was I watching? There was something, it was like, maybe it's on Facebook or something. It's like 25 things you didn't know about. Like, for example, okay, did you know the little pop top on the
It's for a straw.
Can? Right, I didn't know that. Did anybody know that?
No? I did.
I didn't know that.
I know stupid stuff that no one should know.
Okay.
I'm full of it.
What about, the little souffle cups you get for ketchup?
Yeah.
Do you know about that?
No.
You undo them all the way around, and it creates like a larger pad for the ketchup. You can fit more ketchup on there. I know it.
Okay.
Tic Tacs. If you open the little top of the Tic Tacs, there's an oval indentation. That's for the one Tic Tac you're supposed to take. Crazy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so who knew? These are all like, crazy little things. So yeah, I don't know how we got in that. So
Were you always working for yourself?
I did I only worked a short job because I'm not hireable. I'm pretty much, like I said, I have opinions. I worked for Richard Himmel here in Chicago, who was a star designer, and he's phenomenal, and I begged for that job. It took me 6 months to get it, but I was glad I did, and I learned from the master.
How did you get that job back
I
then?
begged. Huh? I begged. I literally called.
Tell me about the story, because I think
I
the
literally
way
called every day.
The way people get jobs today is not like how it used to be.
No, not at all. You know, I first of all, you know, I always tell my staff, pick up the phone, talk.
Yeah.
And they look at you like this look of horror in their face. You know, like, you mean speak to somebody? You know, so, you know, back then, you know, word of mouth. You know, every weekend in the Tribune, there was always a featured designer. Literally, we'd all wait till Sunday morning, you know, to get that. All right, who's being featured now? Who's being featured now? And then you hear the buzz all around the Mart and so forth. And, you know, and like me, for example, I had the story about me, which got me notoriety. So I had this bolt of fabric that we had custom woven for a client. And it was done improperly. And you know, one of my staff members, she was trying to get the problem taken care of, and she kept getting pushed to the side. So like over a month went by, and you know, and here I am sitting going, "What's going on? I want results here, right?" So she's like, "Well, they never returned." I said, "Fine, I'll take care of it." So I took the bolt, I put it in my car, drove over to the merchandise mart, took the bolt out, went into the showroom, I enrolled it, my whole bolt. I said, "Would you put this shit in your client's house? Why would you expect me to put it in my client's house?" I said, "Return, done." Well, we'll send you, you know, this. I go, no, you don't understand. Nobody's getting another yard of fabric until I get my money.
Yeah, cut the check.
Exactly. Give me the money now. And I wouldn't leave until I got it. The next day, he's like, "Do you know what Anthony Michael did?" It's like, "You know what he did? You know what he did?" So, you know, I kind of got that reputation for being the bad boy of design. And there were other incidents too, you know, where I'm very vocal. You know, and that can be a real pain in the ass.
Well, if you don't have opinions, you just have thoughts.
Exactly.
Right? And you're just sitting there to yourself.
Right.
You need to vocalize them, otherwise things don't happen.
Absolutely. And sometimes I don't know how to sugarcoat things well enough.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, I know, I'm pretty bad. I mean, I've
well, people love it or they hate it.
Exactly.
They either,
absolutely right.
They either respect the mentality or
Correct.
they're standoffish because they don't like confrontation and they don't understand why you're doing what you're doing.
Exactly.
But sometimes it's the only way to get things done.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes I go for the shock value. Sometimes I go for the, you know, the manipulative, you know, way to get it done. And then sometimes I go for the jugular, you know, where it's like, you need to do this, and if you don't, you'll be dealing not with me, you'll be dealing with somebody else.
Yeah.
You know? So I mean, you know, like I said, in this industry, there's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And you know, there's mistakes cost a lot of money, and you have to look out for your clients. You want to make sure, you know, not being taken advantage of.
Beyond the money, the reputation, because if you do a bad job, you know, just like
the eyes don't lie.
You're only as good as your last plates, your last song, whatever it is. And if someone saw a recent project of yours and it wasn't so great, you know what? That's going to get way more attention and play than anything that you did that was great.
Absolutely.
Because people love negativity.
Exactly. And that's why I try to, even no matter how bad the things I have to work with, you know, are, I always try to put it together really nice. And I think I really succeed with it because, you know, it's kind of funny because sometimes people are like, "Where did you find that? Where did you find that?" And I'm like, "It was in your house." You know? Like, you owned it, you know? And I mean, I've done things like one of my clients, I had found these, some photographs, and there's also these tiny little elephants. I was like, "Oh, this will be a nice little composition over here, right?" So at her reveal, she says, "How did you know?" So what do you mean, how did I know what? She goes, "Well, these two pictures are my mother and father, and these two pictures are my husband's mother and father, and the elephants were given to us on our wedding."
Oh, wow.
And you sit there going, "Okay, spooky." You know, like that's everything, you know. So, you know, try again, personalizing, looking for things around the home that you wouldn't normally put together, you know, things like that. So, you know, sometimes some people have the worst stuff in the world, you know. Paperback books, they annoy the shit out of me.
Well, they don't have any value.
Well, and they look
other than
horrible.
reading. That's what I mean. Like in terms of aesthetic value, they don't have any.
Exactly. They look horrible on a bookshelf. You know, so I only do, you know, hardback and so forth. Paperback we throw in a closet or whatever. You know?
Agreed.
You know, I like pictures around. You know, I like you know, like I said, personalizing things. You know, I mean, I mix in fine art with not so fine art. You know, and that, you know, I think there's an art to that too. You know, there's an art to all of it. You know, and it's knowing, you know, that balance. You know, and you know, there are some decorators out there. Everything's expensive. They don't understand, you know, anything unless it has a price tag or a label. Mm-hmm. And that, you know, that doesn't, well, it doesn't serve me well.
Oh, I hate that mentality.
I do too. I hate that just because
I love when someone tries to explain something by, "Oh, it's expensive." Who cares?
And
Does it look good or not?
If you have to explain a design decision, it failed.
Yeah.
Because just your
Someone should
vision,
know.
You walk in the room and you say, oh, this is beautiful.
You get it.
It doesn't matter that we got that at Walmart.
Yeah.
And don't laugh. That at Walmart and that at Target and that at Gucci.
Yeah.
So what? But it all looks great together. And that's why I tell clients, don't fixate. If I buy a table for you that's, say, $3,000 and I'm buying $200 chairs, it's fine. Don't worry. We got this, So it's things like that, Sometimes other people feel as though the price points have to be the same throughout, or all high end and so forth. And that can get rather boring too, And I love finding stuff. I really do, One of the things I missed during COVID, Randolph Street would have a weekly flea market kind of thing. And, I actually found some great things in there. Of course it was hit or miss, But when I hit, it hit really nice, And I've gotten some really nice things, drawings. I've gotten some great unique accessories, African art, vintage, cool stuff, like vintage 70s shit, I bought this really cool chair. It was upholstered in harvest gold. It was from like 1971.
What is harvest gold?
Harvest gold?
Yeah.
It was very popular in the 70s. Harvest gold, copper tone, avocado. Those were the big colors back then. So in this particular, they had this ugly fabric. It was harvest gold velvet. But the lines of the chair, I was like, this is cool. I had it reupholstered in zebra. It looked so cool. My client saw it. I said, well, it's not for sale. She said, no, I want it. I was like, it's not for sale. I want to use. So I like to use it in my house. So I told you I had a black and white house. So I got to use it for a couple months in mine. And I said, by the way, you still want that? Sure, I'm selling it. So things like that. But changing things like that, doing modifications, I think is really, really cool to do. I like looking for things that I have interest to them, and so forth. So I'm what they call I'm a style seeker or whatever over there. So I get 3 ribbons every time I go, and I have to place them on my 3 favorite finds.
To where? When you go to the flea
market?
market?
When I go to the flea market over there at Randolph Street. I love going there. I really do. I've found.
Are they going to bring that back this year?
I hope so.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah, that was a fun time.
It was.
And then they had the one on the north side too.
Which one?
It's off Broadway. You know what I'm talking about? I think it was in Uptown.
Yeah, I don't know if that's still there. You're talking about Broadway Antiques?
Yeah.
I think they might have closed. I'm not sure. But yeah, that would be a good resource. Also, I go in the Brown Elephant,
Yeah.
I go in the hospital, any of the hospital stores.
Yeah.
I bought a pair of Mastercraft cabinets as they were coming off the truck and being donated, right? So I see them and I'm like, and they're in perfect condition, right?
Yeah.
So a friend of mine was with me. I said, hold on to those cabinets, okay? So I find my girl who I deal with, all the time. I said, hey there, these are just coming in. I said, what do you think for these cabinets? She goes, oh, yeah. She goes, you know what? $175 a piece. I said,
Done.
So I sent them off to auction a year later, $15,000. Not bad, huh?
Yeah.
I thought that was a good investment, So, having good period knowledge of furniture, understanding, older furniture and also the, construction, the design, things like that. So I'm at an advantage, where I really have that. They don't teach that in design schools. They teach you rudimentary, they teach you, it's all about technical. So there's no real focus on the art of it, the art of decoration,
Well, it has to be learned, right?
Well, you know what, you have to be exposed to it too.
Yes, exposed. Exposed is the better word. You have to be there, in it.
Exactly. And you also have to understand, how did we get to this point? What brought us from the different Louis points, to where we're at today? And you see the influences and carving and, the way leg shapes are and things like that. Wall coverings, what brought us to where we are today? You had hand blocked scenes before, very labor intensive and so forth, hand painting, hand finishing, or things on tea paper and so forth. They don't teach these design students that. They don't teach them how to recognize, better, things and what kind of markings to look for on antiques or on porcelain, things like that. So again, it's more trial and error. You do need a good mentor, somebody who can, point out things and say, hey, here's how this was influenced, or hey, what makes this, or why is this so expensive? Things like that, So you learn. You just learn as you go, Like I said, I was very fortunate. I worked for somebody who, the art of decoration was still there. He had offices in Palm Beach and Chicago. Went to France often, and it was a very, very, you'd go through the merchandise with him, and it was like going through with God. Like he'd have us 3 assistants behind him taking notes, and he'd walk down, and he'd just point everything went. and bam, okay, we want that. Okay, we want that. He was very much like that. And I respect that. And his interiors came together beautifully. And I developed a very good trust with him that he allowed me to again do some design leading, on smaller projects and so forth. Which, to be that young, able to do that with your clients like that, not bad at all. So I was very fortunate with that.
This was so much fun.
Did you
I
have fun?
appreciate your time.
Are we wrapping up
Wealth
already?
and knowledge. It's been like 2 hours.
Is it not bad?
Yeah, I
It
think
just
so.
feels like yesterday.
I know.
I'm sorry.
I know. We could. That's the thing. We could do this so long because
But doesn't it bore people? What do you think, Lola?
No.
Lola.
We're gonna chop. So what we do is we do bookmarks on
Okay.
on YouTube, so people can just fast forward to the part they want to hear about,
Okay.
and it's easy for someone to go right through.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
And then you took some B-roll.
Yeah.
Oh, good. So, yeah, did you see the kitchen? Yeah. Pretty cool? Yeah.
I like those countertops. I saw it back there before.
Oh, the silent
I feel like that's a great commercial. I don't know if you can do it in a home. I've seen it in a home. I sold a
Right.
condo with those, but it's so bold.
Well,
But I also feel like that's the style.
Exactly. Well, I designed this space to be both also exhibition space.
Uh-huh.
We've actually had a few parties here. We have a sound system in here. It's DJ quality. And all the lighting is on 2 different type of things here. And also, the space really lends itself to, large parties.
Yeah, I can see that.
It's been fabulous.
I might hit you up for that because this is such a great
that's
space
fine.
for
Yeah,
something.
it is. And the kitchen, its service is really nice because we have, built-in ice buckets there.
I noticed it's made for entertaining where your kitchen
Exactly.
is and how it's laid out. You can tell that was in mind when you
Exactly.
did this.
And
Yeah.
when we did the whole space, that was, thing. And, I know it's a little, carried away with like the crystal chandeliers in here.
I think it works.
Well, you know what? It's like,
with the exposed brick,
Yeah,
it
it's
really
kinda cool.
spots.
but you know what I thought, the idea behind all that was, in some circles, I'm called design royalty.
Okay.
Okay? And so I figured, well, what do design royals have? Palaces. So let's make it a palace of
So this is
design.
your palace?
Yeah, that's my palace of design.
I love the
Is that
pillars
everything about
too.
the actually-
The pillars look so good.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
Well, I
Yeah.
mean, I had the floors dyed black.
Yes.
These weren't originally like that, and then they were ground. This was from my marble supplier. Did a beautiful job.
Yeah.
It's a gorgeous mantelpiece. I wanted everything down on the.
I like this how this has this back layer too. So is this an actual fireplace?
No.
No, right?
it's
It's just
fake.
meant to look like it.
Yeah.
But it looks good.
It's filled in with the boxwoods. And stuff. You saw the boxwood on the front.
Yeah.
I hope you got a good front shot of that.
Well, so-
with my name and everything, because that's
the spot.
That's
So-
that's my intimidation. This is my office. So I have my Raging Stallions. I have my bar cabinets on either side, and then my design books. So yeah, and that's Lola. She does not play well with others.
I thought that was for you.
Yeah, it should be. No, mine is. I'm kind of a big deal. There you go. And then obviously out here, this is another living room setup and so forth. And that's inventory. And then in here, this is our marketing rooms, but we haven't. Well, I don't have a marketing person right now because it's crazy out there.
Yeah.
But see, these are like mock-ups, of the furniture, these built-ins that we did for this other client. So it came out really beautiful. These are all the things we've been in either we've done or we've been featured in. I had 3 covers in 2019. I had 29 articles then. This year, 2020. So
When you do this, are they coming to you or are you
no,
paying for this?
No, we don't pay for
You pay for that. Okay.
No, they come to us. So there's more stuff here. These were the ads that we were putting in, like Luck and stuff like that. These are different ads that have gone in, Scottsdale, and, we target our audiences and so forth. So, and that's pretty much it in a nutshell, So that's
really
what we
cool
do.
space.
Yeah, it is. It's a great space,
Nice.
isn't it?
And you need this much space.
Well, you know what? I like a lot of space. That's my problem. I mean, I like to have it very open. Our offices before, they were on 3 floors, and it was the lower level. We had a duct underneath the air vent. So my poor accountant was working in a windowless basement. I know.
Employer.
Right? I know, it was horrible. Then the main floor was, designers and me. And then the next floor was CAD operators and marketing. There was just so much up and down. And the floors were falling apart. It was like.
Where were you before?
Lincoln Park.
Okay.
Yeah. So we got out of there. And then I decided to come west because the design community is moving west. I don't know if you noticed, but Grand Avenue is starting to become the new design thing. So
Yeah, there's so much there.
Right, so we
Yeah.
got a little bit ahead on it.
The
so.
space is, it's not cheap.
No,
No?
space is not cheap right now. not at all. But over here was.
Yeah.
This was a bargain. If we were on the other side of Western, my rent would be twice as much.
Yeah,
And
easily.
you know what? By going one block,
No one cares.
No.
No one cares.
I always tell people when they're
This is a destination regardless.
exactly, and I always tell people when you get to Washington, you see the crack bars on the corner, you know you've arrived. Yeah, so we had a they were doing some work across the street, and they had a porta potty there.
Uh-huh.
So
Oh
I
my
came in
God,
on a
where's this
Sunday.
going?
Yeah, I know. I came in on a Sunday morning, and my cleaning lady was here. She goes, "You gotta see what's going on." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" She goes, "Just watch." So we're standing out there. See one guy go in there for 10 minutes. Another guy, back and forth. All these guys. And then next thing you know, then comes out the hooker. So she was working in the porta potty, okay, and doing all these guys.
This is terrible.
Isn't that horrible?
Yes. Yes.
I think it's hysterical.
It was terrible for the guys.
Why?
Because they got to smell that.
Oh, I know.
I wonder who smelled worse.
Well, I was just gonna say, you know, either the but you know, this area is not bad at all. I
Yeah.
mean, it really isn't. You know, so and that's the Board of Education building, and that is out of use right now. So we'll see
It's
what's
just
gonna
sitting
happen.
vacant?
Yeah. You know what? Well, no, the half of it over here is juvenile detention. So yeah, they bring these bad kids in and shit like that.
It's perfect.
Yeah, but other than that, though, I mean, we're in a little bit of a food desert, you know, here because it's all just fast food and kind of crappy. But you know, DoorDash and Uber Eats.
Everything's deliverable.
Yeah, exactly. So you know, it is what it is. So that's life. What do you think, kiddo? Was that fun? Did you have fun? Did you take a picture of Lola?
Oh, we did.
You got her. You gotta get a picture of her. She's the cutest little thing in the world.
You're gonna be the star.
Yep. Because if she isn't already. Yeah. God. You are so spoiled, Lola. I've spoiled you beyond belief. You're no good for anybody. She's the little one. She's the best little baby.
Can't believe she was a rescue.
Yeah, I know. I can't believe.
She's so calm.
She is. I didn't have to train her or anything. I mean, I got her. She was like this, and I was like, wow. You know, I mean, smart dog. She'd be embarrassed if she had an accident. She's not destructive. She's quiet like that. I mean, she barks when there's certain,
I feel like the smaller they are, the smarter they are.
They are. They really are. And she's so sweet. She's a little sweetheart. And she knows if I'm upset. So it's all good, right, Pip? All right, I'm going to get out of here.
Yeah, appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.